Hello, and welcome to the Lee Wybert Hour, sponsored by Harley Street Skin. In this bi-weekly series, Lee and Leslie Reynolds will be bringing you a show of spiritual exploration. Together with Lee and Leslie, you'll explore the mysteries of the afterlife and share stories of hope, healing, and connection with loved ones who have passed. Whether you're a seasoned spiritualist or just curious about the world beyond our own, this show is something for everyone. Over the course of our journey together, Lee and Leslie will be speaking with some of the most renowned mediums, psychics, and spiritual teachers from around the globe, as well as celebrities from stage and screen. We'll delve into topics such as past lives, energy healing, and the power of intuition, and explore how these concepts can help us navigate the challenges of our daily lives. But most importantly, we'll be creating a safe and welcoming space for all who join us. We believe that everyone has the ability to connect with spirit, and we're here to help you tap into your own unique gifts and intuition. So sit back, relax, and let's dive into the world of spirit together.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Lee and Leslie's show. We've got an amazing guest coming on today, which is Craig Ainsworth, who is a Royal Marine Commando. And Craig is with us already. He's already in the show with us. Hello, Craig. How are you?
I'm living the dream. Thanks, Lee. How are you guys doing?
We're good. Craig, I want to go straight in. I want you to explain to the listeners about you, because I've gone through your bio. Of course, we've met at Leslie's ball, which was a lovely evening together, and it was good meeting you. But I want our viewers to know everything about you, because your bio is so big. You're very interesting. Some of the things that it's very funny. The three of us all work with celebrities, me, you, and Leslie. But Craig, give us a start into your life and take us through your journey as your life has progressed, and for our listeners to find out all about you, my friend.
I absolutely will. As you say, it's been a bit of a crazy journey. So I'm originally from Enfield in North London. I got into a lot of trouble when I was younger. I eventually joined the Royal Marines, which taught me self-value, self-love, all of the respect and all of the things that sort of made me the man I am today. And throughout the Royal Marines, I learned a lot of skill sets that applied to close protection, bodyguarding, and it's sort of a natural progression for a lot of veterans these days. I was very fortunate to work for a huge American company, and I looked after some huge stars straight off the box, looking after, like your Jennifer Lawrences, your Tom Hollands, that sort of level of celebrity and business moguls. I then moved into, and I was working in surveillance. I actually worked as an Interpol associate for a short period. I then got into film security, and I was running film security for Warner Brothers, Sony, and eventually became head of production security for EMEA for Netflix. So meeting lots of different celebs, working with lots of wonderful creative people. And I was very much working 7 days a week, like 100-hour weeks every single week. And it wasn't until COVID came, and suddenly I was forced to sort of, like the rest of us, sit at home and think about what I'd done, and everything sort of caught up with me. And during that period, unfortunately, I ended up losing 11 friends in 16 months to suicide, and sort of rethought all of my life. And it really made me sit with everything I'd done and what life is all about. What is my purpose? Who was I? Not just what I'd achieved, but I'd shut off my feelings and emotions for so many years, and it allowed me to dive in and see really what my soul was made of.
And can I ask you something, Craig?
Of course.
Sorry, because as soon as you speak about death, my ears pick up, and I get very, very interested. Now, it was 17 friends, you said, wasn't it?
It was 11 friends in 16 months.
11 friends, sorry. Death affects us all, but have you ever done anything spiritual since they have passed away? Have you ever had a reading? Have you ever gone and seen anyone about this?
I haven't had a reading, but I'd love to. And it did send me down that spiritual pathway where I've gone to a lot of ceremonies. Of all kinds. I even went to Peru and Colombia and took part in ayahuasca and mushroom ceremonies and things like that. As I say, I really had And I really had sort of locked down my feelings for so many years. The floodgates truly opened, and there's such a wealth of emotion that came with that. So I really paid it homage because, I nearly lost control of everything. So since then, I've become extremely spiritual and very much in contact with myself, with my soul, so to speak. I started writing during lockdown. I wrote a TV show that's going ahead with Avalon Production. I wrote my book, The Discombobulated Alpha, which really was, I can't tell you how honest I was in that book, just to show everyone out there, if you're struggling, that this so-called alpha male that everyone perceives me to be struggles as well. And from the back of that, I then started a company called Virtuous Savage, and I've been coaching people, running workshops. And it's just been the best thing I've ever done in my life, working with people, recognizing that we're all so similar, but we all struggle with all of the same problems, no matter our financials. It doesn't matter if we're the world's biggest celebrity. We're all human beings. And I'm really going down that path now. I'm really in touch with myself, but, humanity itself as well, rather than just protecting people. It's been a real silver lining to a very dark time for me.
So what about your workshops? What do you do in the workshops, Greg?
So there's a whole range of workshops that we work with. So I can do everything from your typical corporate leadership and your team building stuff, or I work with family units within relationships, or groups of men or groups of women in building confidence, in managing fear, in managing stress. But the biggest thing and overall aspect I'd say that I do is I basically teach people to get out of their own way and realize how great they are and what they can achieve just by getting out of their own way. We live in this world these days where we like to blame and point fingers. But if we just draw back and really sit with our problems, most of the time we have the answers within ourselves. And that's something I certainly learned about myself the last 3 or 4 years. And that's something I teach. And it's amazing the growth that people take on just when they build that little bit of confidence.
Yeah. But can I just ask you, Craig, do you find that men particularly find it very hard to get in touch with their feelings? Or do you find it's the same for females?
That's such a great question. It really is. So I would say if you had to go across the board, I'd say, yes, men find it harder to speak about their feelings. And I'd say the reason being is normally that their feelings that they express are later used back against them. I'd say that it's where they have to be strong for whatever purpose, or they feel they have to be strong, or if they feel they have to be the leader, or the typical construct of what a man is. Mm. And I find that men are worried that if they have an honest reflection, and if they speak about it, not so much to someone like myself, but if they express it to their friends or their family or their wife or girlfriend or whatever it may be, they feel that they're almost losing some respect from doing so. Yeah. And I find when I speak to females, they again, typically speaking, I find they feel they have a bit more of a comfort where they can go to people with problems and they'll be listened to without judgment. Women are so much better at speaking to one another. And I'm sorry?
Communicating. Do you think women are
communicating? Yes, absolutely. They're so much better at communicating, where they listen to each other, and you can see women feel every word when they're getting into that communication. Where men are very, we're so almost statistically based and factually based that we feel our feelings almost in the way. But it's our feelings, once they're managed correctly, that empower us most, and we become our greatest person, our greatest asset, because we know who we are. So we become a better person, not just for us, but everyone around us. So it is certainly more of a challenge speaking to the guys. And I've learned so much in speaking to this wealth of different people as well, men, women of all different cultures, backgrounds, beliefs.
But do you also think that the way men behave and feel that they've got to be strong, dependable, is the way we as mothers or as parents bring our children up? Because I know I've got 2 boys and a daughter, and I always was with the boys. They're in their 40s now, but I was always, come on, you can't cry. You've got to be strong, you've got to be this. Whereas my daughter, I was much softer with and let her do these things. So do you think part of it is the way we actually treat our children, our sons?
Yeah, I would say so. I would definitely say so. I'd say it's a community as well, where we're now in a situation where we're attempting to treat everyone equally, no matter what. But I was raised, even on airplanes when we were taking off as children, it was women and children first.
Yeah.
And all of those little things. So you automatically know that you're sort of not a second-class citizen, but it's almost your duty to protect, and that you are sacrificial should something extreme happen. And I feel that's that sort of gap we're trying to bridge now, where we're sort of saying, look, it's okay. We'll all get off the plane together, so to speak, these days. Yeah. And it's a very complicated subject. And it's as individual as we all are in the way that people grasp it and move forward. And it depends on your relationship with everybody around you. But that's certainly something I think men struggle with. They kind of see themselves as social cannon fodder. Should anything happen, then it would be the men that are expendable. I think that's something that we need to look at a little bit more.
We've also found that men don't look after themselves as much as women do. So if they've got an ache or pain or not well, they'll leave it much longer to go to see their doctor. Yeah.
I have found since COVID that men have become more spiritual. I've been working spiritually for many, many years. And I've always had men and women. But the men now want to come in for healing. They want to have the readings. They want to find out about their inner self, their mind, body, spirit, and soul. And even running retreats in the Middle East. I also had a lot of men would join the retreats where it just used to be mostly women. I find now that men really, really are more open up to everything.
Absolutely. I found the same as well. And I think it's amazing, that dialogue that's been open. I think there's a huge push, like obviously from people like yourself, the work I do, and even on social media, you're kind of seeing that aspect now. It's a positive, and it's almost like a self-maintenance. It's like going to the gym now. You need to look after your mind and build that muscle just as much as you do your biceps. It's very important. And I kind of feel that men just got to that sort of breaking point as, if we just talk about British males, with like the suicide rates and mental health. And I feel like because so many men were suffering, it's almost as a collective, without speaking, everybody's sort of gone, okay, I need to sort something out about this. And I mean, that's what happened to myself. I was very much, can you imagine going straight from the Marines and working in security with extremely high level personnel who were far more experienced than I, like SBS, SAS, working with real professionals. There was no time for me to say I felt unwell or I had a headache or I felt a bit blue that day, because it's laughable, isn't it? Like we're laughing now. It's like, oh, sorry, I've got a twisted sock today. I can't come in. It was just not negotiable. And then when COVID happened, and obviously I had to go through an extreme grief and loss, and I recognized that, and something I had to cope with was I felt I'd been protecting all of these celebrities or ultra high net worths, and I hadn't been protecting those closest to me, where my friends had called me just for a conversation, like hi, I'm struggling or whatever. I wouldn't answer the call because I was busy, because I was working. And I don't feel that men have been there for each other. Whereas now, as you say, since COVID, it's been that we haven't communicated, but we've kind of telepathically communicated that we all need to be there for each other just that little bit more. So absolutely, I've definitely found that as well.
I'm going to ask you a weird question, because I jump back and forth. My mind jumps back and forth. When you do your retreats and you got everyone together in your retreats, I want to get my head around, because you do mental health leadership as well, don't you, Craig? Which is amazing. When you're in your retreats, do you do things like bringing everybody to bond each other, ice baths? Is that the kind of retreats you do?
Yeah, absolutely. I try to pull everybody out of their comfort zone, out of the bubble that they've created. And how we do that is through some little challenges that we do. So in Morocco, we climb the Tobacco Mountain as a team. In Bali, we run up the Mount Batur for sunset. It's an actual volcano. It's beautiful. So typically speaking, our retreats will be 7 days. For the first 2 to 3 days, depending on our location, we'll be in like a luxurious villa. Everyone gets to relax. We go through our mental health talks about resilience, and we sort of talk about the ethos and sort of walk through every aspect of what we're going to be doing for the rest of the retreat. We then sort of really pull them out of their comfort zone, but very much supported by our team. Most of the people that help me are former Royal Marines. Then our females are often medical specialists or, just coaches, life coaches, or even some veterans themselves. And we bring them into what it's like to be a part of the military, that mindset where we win and lose together. And by doing that, you sort of eradicate all of the micro walls, the social micro walls that often keep us so separate. It doesn't matter if you're male, female, gay, straight. What does that matter? We're climbing a mountain. That's all that matters. It's one step in front of the other. And if you can't make it, we don't make it. And if you get there, then we will get there together. And I think by doing that and eradicating those walls and giving people that small glimpse into what it's like to be a part of a team or something bigger than themselves, it amazes me the effect it has. I've had CFOs who are worth, like 50, 60 million pounds. Nobody's told them no or anything in years because how dare they? And then we've had someone who's a PA earning £30,000 a year, all on the same retreat. And everybody is aligned. Everybody's speaking to each other as equals because they all have the respect for each other of achieving that one small task. Be it, although it's fun and you get to see a beautiful sunset and get wonderful photos and have a great experience, you build that respect between one another. And I just feel we don't give each other a chance these days. We're all sort of living in fear. If I extend my hand, maybe they won't take it. And then, humiliation's so public. Everything's so public these days with social media, isn't it? So what I try to do is just to remind everybody, it doesn't matter who you are. We are who we are when we're in the shower, so to speak, and we're all human beings. And I think that's something I really try to bring out. And honestly, I can't tell you, it truly is the best thing I've ever done, not just for me and for my mental health, because it shows me that, just how well connected we actually are to one another. And there's still hope for us all to there's hope for a better tomorrow, so to speak.
So it's about communication as well, people communicating on a base level.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. Without projecting all of our inner fears or whatever it may be. We've had people turn up and they literally haven't wanted to stand near each other for whatever reason. And by the end of it, they've got their arm around each other drinking the beer. It really does happen. And it sounds cheesy, it sounds like I'm making it up, but you wouldn't believe just how a simple exercise and how just gaining a little bit of respect for each other can just break down those walls and just know, hey, like, I'm friendly.
So do you bring spirituality into that as well? Do you have
we absolutely do. I encourage it. We do a lot of breathing exercises and meditation. And what I try to do is to encourage them to bring through their own spirituality in thinking about their favorite time in life and their favorite people in life and all the little things in life, like the smell of warm bread or and little things like that. Just try to get them thinking about all these micro gratitudes and micro appreciations that they have whilst we're thinking about it. And then we feed better, and then we always do our breathing and our meditation after a workout in the morning, and then we go and eat. So you're literally breaking bread after bringing in all of those positive chemicals and things. And breakfast is always such a happy, positive time because we've just filled our brains and started our day off on that real positive flow. And it's something I teach to my clients, not in retreats, just in general coaching, where I just need 30 minutes of your morning. And we do 5 minutes of manifestation, which is I teach dream, believe, plan, achieve. And the believe part is vocalization. I get them to speak to themselves in the mirror, which a lot of them struggle with at first, but to have that dialogue with themselves, to cut out our own nonsense that we tell ourselves and our excuses and say, right, today we're going to do A, B, and C. That's all we have to do. Anything else is a bonus. And then you build confidence because you achieve that. Mm-hmm. And I find... so we have the first 5 minutes and then we do a 20-minute workout or a stretch or yoga. It can be a walk. It depends on you as an individual and on your capabilities or your desires. And then we go back and we do 5 more minutes of manifestation. And I try to get people to do that just Monday to Friday and having the weekend off. Mm-hmm. Obviously, you can do it as much as you like, but I like to get people to relax as well. That's when the results and when the effect really seem to sink in. And I find that even the most stressed of individuals, if you can just win that 30 minutes in the morning it really sets up and tees up your day, you know. So I know when I was struggling with mental health, the hardest part of my day was just getting out of bed. Once I was out of bed and I had that first coffee, maybe the first 3 on some days, you know, my day got better. But opening your eyes and, you know, some days I'd wake up crying and just in depths of despair. And I was just get out of bed, just get out of bed, just get up, just get moving, just get up, just get moving. And once I was up and I was walking, I felt better. Once I was in a shower, I felt a bit better. Once I had the coffee, and once your brain learns that, then you're like, right, just get up, and it becomes an automatic response. So these days, you know, if I wake up and I feel a bit groggy or I need to shake it off, I will literally jump out of bed, and I'll literally be standing there shaking and jumping and getting myself up and moving to get those positive chemicals flowing. Just to
So how did you put these retreats together? Was it something you learned, or was it something you felt in your head that you had to do? Or
it was, if I'm honest with you, so going back to quite a morbid time when I was really, really low, I actually one night went to Richmond Park, and I planned to take my own life. And an elderly couple came along whilst I was at up the tree, and they were like, and I had a noose tied to the tree and everything. It was really my lowest point. And an elderly couple came, and the man was like, "What are you doing, boy? What are you doing, boy?" And I jumped down and sort of like didn't really say anything and just run off, just sort of nervous. I went home, and my friend was staying with me. He'd actually been looking after me, my friend Junior from the Royal Marines. And we had a massive heart-to-heart, and he's a 120-kilogram beast of a man with the most gentle heart ever. And we stayed up all night talking. And he said to me, "You'd be selfish if you went. You can help the world. You can help people who like you who are suffering. So get busy living or get busy dying, but you'll be selfish if you go." He went to bed that night. I didn't. And when he woke up in the morning, I'd created Virtuous Savage, and I'd created coaching programs. I teach the alpha mindset, which females actually seem to love more than men, which is accountability, lessons not lost is positivity, humility, and action. And it's something you can apply to everything throughout your day. And where I'd looked after so many, I'd had the privilege of looking after so many, wealthy individuals and celebrities and things. And that spectrum of humanity, I just started to put together, when do I feel best, or what do people look for in life? Everybody likes new experiences. Everybody likes to travel. Everybody likes to achieve things. So I was like, right, we need to take them out of their comfort zone. We do retreats here in the UK where we go to Dartmoor with the Marines, and we do climbing and all those sort of things. And I just started to plan all of these retreats. Even just the company hadn't even started yet. And the progression, as the progression went on, I was like, okay, this is something that can really happen. Then I'm actually wearing a part of our merchandise now. So our logo is actually to represent that we're all our own superhero and we're all our own villain.
Well done, yes.
And then the camouflage is to represent that we're each fighting two wars, the internal war and the external. And as the African proverb says, if there's no enemy within, the enemy outside can do us no harm. And that's something that I'm really teaching everyone, bringing it all back in before you blame anyone, before you know, what can you do? Have you done everything you can do before you progress or start to, to try and right the world, so to speak? Mm-hmm. And as that was all coming through, I went to Bali to see how we could help. How I could build the retreats in Bali. It's somewhere I'd been. It's always got that beautiful, spiritual place, isn't it? When you land in Bali.
I want to go there. Everyone in the Middle East always go to Bali, and that's on my next list of things to do.
You'd love it, Lee. I promise you. The second you land, they are the most beautiful people. Everywhere you go, instead of signs for like Starbucks, they have "the world is beautiful, have a great day." They have signs everywhere. It's just phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I went there and I linked up with the Bali Children's Foundation. So we donate 10% all of our proceeds to children's charities and military charities across the world, and 25% of our merchandise. And I went up into the mountains right near Mount Batur where we do our test, and saw all of these schools and how we could help the children themselves. Mm-hmm. And when I came back from Bali, I was like, okay, we can apply this across the world. We can go to all of these different wonderful countries. We can take people not just to go and fix themselves, but whilst they're doing so, show that whilst they're on these retreats, how they're helping other people, that can never repay them.
Mm-hmm.
And I found that's something that we all actually want to do. I find that, you know, people are always saying that people are terrible. I totally disregard that. I think people are beautiful. They're just scared or fearful of making that first move. I mean, and I feel that's what we've managed to almost pull out of people at this point. And you break down those walls, and it's just been a fantastic journey for us. And we have retreats now that are capable across the world. We're starting to put some together in Africa as well. And it's really wonderful because, again, it doesn't matter who you are or what your background is, that we're all humans, and it's something that everyone loves. We all turn into children, don't they, when we go on a trip or on a holiday.
I understand a lot that you say, and when you say you get up in the morning, you jump out of bed, and you have to make yourself motivated. I'm married to an ex-major. We've been together 27 years, and my life around him is very military.
Yes,
and
I can imagine it would be.
Now he's slowing down a little bit. I don't mean in body and that. He's slowing down in his matter of thought. But every time I would go to a bit of a low and think, I don't know if I can do this anymore. I don't know if I want to keep on with this. He's the one that always said to me, you've got to do it this way. This is the best. This is how life is going to be, and you've got to accept it. So I know where your mindset is. I love Bali. I tell you what else I picked up as you was talking. You do a form of NLP on people as well, don't you?
I do a form of what, sorry?
NLP.
What's NLP?
It is where you motivate, when you say to people, go into your happy space.
Yes.
So on your retreats, is when you send someone to their happy space, it's like you put them in a happy space, and then you can also say to them, now come back to where you are now, and you can find out where you're going wrong in your life. Or you can say, if you was going to do a concert, let's say you was doing a public speech, and you felt nervous, I would say to you, where is the best? Close your eyes. I'd make you move 2 steps and say, close your eyes. And then you'd close your eyes, and I'd say, what was the most happiest time of your life?
Yes.
And I talk you through, and you'd say, I was doing this with my mother, and we were going here, and we were doing this. And then by the time you open your eyes, I'd say to you, now it's time to walk out on the stage.
Yes, that's wonderful. I've never heard that term before, but absolutely. Yes, I actually call it a mental oasis. And the happy place, or whatever it may be. That's absolutely something I've used for myself. And obviously, when I was coming through my mental health aspects, I didn't want to take medication. So I wanted to be able to mentally manage the pain and the anxieties and stuff. So I managed this with myself. Now, I have 2 little French bulldogs called Lilo and Stitch. They're my absolute babies. And for me, I'm genuinely at my happiest, or especially because I was working across the board in security and on films and these ultra stressful jobs. But I'd often have the dogs with me when I was in the managerial positions. And for me, when I was super stressed, even in a meeting, or if I was being, chewed alive one day by a client or whatever it would be, I'd literally have those 5 minutes, or even 60 seconds sometimes. Sometimes that's all you get. And I'd be able to just take myself there, and I'd be in the woods walking with the dogs, the wind blowing, just in nature. And that's my happy place, just peace, quiet with nature. And exactly as you say, if you can manage to do that, then those feelings carry on through back into reality, don't they? And you can, as you say, walk back out on stage, or you can play that game, or take part in that interview, or whatever it may be. And it really does cut out on that procrastination as well, because you feel that self-love, that warmth, that support that you've actually managed to encourage all on your own.
Now, you must have been in war zones.
Yeah, I served in Afghanistan, yeah.
Yeah, you was in war zones. Do you still wake up with or do you sleepwalk because of it? Because I find with my husband, he all of a sudden I'm always looking. I know it's like a trigger now. Yeah. I know he's going for a walk, and he left the army 20 odd years. But I know I wake up and I got to go and find him because he still walks now, and he's very strong-minded person, extremely strong-minded. But do you find that at all, Craig? Do you go wandering off?
I love to go for long walks. I'd say I didn't really struggle so much from Afghanistan itself. I had quite a lot of trauma from when I was a child. My best friend when I was 17 was murdered, and I saw quite a lot of violence.
Right.
I write about it all in my book, The Discombobulated Alpha, just to really let people know about my journey through managing and my struggles so they can learn from my mistakes. Because trust me, I didn't deal with it correctly until I was almost like 30, 37, 38. I'm 40 now. But absolutely, I find for me that sometimes I just need peace. No phones, no people. Even if it's the nicest human being in the world that wishes me all the love, I can't manage the love. I'm actually more comfortable some days in a fight, so to speak, than I would be a cuddle. Yeah. I need to just go walking. I need to just manage my internal struggle. And that can have no reflection upon anyone around me or any situation that's gone on. And it might be something that just flares up. There can be, it might be a date's coming in close to when one of my friends passed or someone's birthday or it can be seeing a news article where somebody's, taking their own life or whatever it may be. Sometimes those things trigger me and whatever might be going on. And I find if I just remove myself, it can be 30 minutes, it can be an hour. Some days it can be 8 or 10 hours. But I just find removing myself and then self-soothing and just taking everything away. I take my phone with me, but I switch it off. So I have it for emergencies and safety. And I find that that's the best self-soothing you can do. I feel sometimes it's very hard to just sit there and meditate when I'm struggling. I just start making a list of my problems. So I find if I'm walking in nature or I just find that's the best medicine for me.
You'll have to come to Ballindon one day because Ballindon Hall is where Leslie and myself do retreats. But it'd be good for you to come down because it's in 20 acres. And it's absolutely amazing down there.
I'd love to come down, absolutely. Please let me know next time. I'll come along.
We'd love to have you. Lots of wildlife and lots of trees, forest. Sold.
Sold, I'm in. Sounds amazing.
I want to go into something. First of all, I want to say, when I said my husband used to wander, thank you for explaining that, Craig, because I'm the same as you. I lock myself because I'm seeing some days 12 clients a day. They can be from the top celebrity from around the world, or it can be a billionaire that want me to sort out their business for them. And I've just come back from the Middle East, and I spent people was asking me to go out for dinner, and I didn't want. I was going back to the hotel, and I was just turning my phone on silent, and I wanted to be alone.
Absolutely.
With my husband, he wanders in his sleep, always getting up and wandering in his sleep. It is getting slightly better the last 6 months. For about 27 years, I'm always searching for him around.
Wow. I didn't know this. You need a tracker or something.
I'm like a trigger now. Soon as our bed move, I'm awake.
Yeah.
We've even got a light now in the bedroom. So if one of us put our foot to the floor, the light, like a soft light, will come on. So
that's very clever.
And I want you to take him with you at some stage because you can train him out to be mind, body, spirit, and soul.
Absolutely.
He pushes me all the time. He always say, "You'll do really good. You'll do this. You'll do that." Then he sat back in the chair himself. On a nice, light-hearted note, out of curiosity, you worked with Lady Gaga.
I did, yes. I managed advances for she actually did a jazz tour across Italy and Spain with Tony Bennett, of all people. And it was fantastic, yes. So I managed to work with her. A very interesting person for sure.
Yeah, I can imagine. You've had a lot of interest in celebrities, Leslie, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, the clinic, we've got over 55,000 patients, but a lot of celebrities all different levels of celebrities. And I don't think, that they have any more problems probably than all of us, And of course, we've got our charity Back on Track, which is to help troops that have come back from anywhere, but a lot of them have come back from Afghanistan. And we do a lot of PTSD counselling, which seems to help. And we just support as much as we can. But the celebrities are, we can all be hard work, can't we? I find anybody that's come with a problem needs a parcel of you. And that's part of my job, is just being there really and listening and offering advice about whatever they're asking me. But I'm sure we could all benefit from you, Craig. I know I definitely could.
Well, did you know, I was actually just going to ask you both a question, if you don't mind. As you've just mentioned then, how celebrities, you've said they all have the same problems. I think all three of us have said that during this conversation. I actually I kind of feel that celebrities, because of their position and their stature, that they almost struggle from the same problem as men do typically in society, where they're unable to express their feelings or their negative emotions because they're more exposed or more challenged. Like, people are like, why do you feel sorry for yourself? You have everything. You have the money. You have the fame. And I feel like they're almost locked in that box. So, I find that they're struggling almost more than the dare I say, in some occasions, than the average person, because they're locked away in that mental box of theirs where they can't expose anything because of the obvious reason.
Vulnerable, aren't they? They're vulnerable now, particularly with the internet. Anything that's said or filmed is everywhere and it's there forever. So
Exactly.
So people are far more interested in what they're doing than what I'm doing, for instance. So they are much more vulnerable in that way. And I think that is difficult. And I think a lot of female celebrities find it hard because they're trying to find somebody they want to spend their life with, and they need to be protected. They want somebody who can protect them. And so they're open to a lot of problems, really. I think, they can attract the wrong men. There are all sorts of things going on.
Absolutely. I've looked after quite a few high-level female celebrities, and it was almost, when you've been with somebody for quite a long time, because you're so dedicated to the job, I always feel like they become almost like a little sister to me, even if they're older than me. It becomes that role. And sometimes to watch the way that the media portray things, or that, they might turn up looking beautiful, but what they do is they post the one picture of them with like a funny face, or they're looking for the negatives in the females all the time. I mean, I feel like sometimes men might receive a bit more of the verbal abuse, which is more obvious abuse, so to speak, or criticism is probably a better word than abuse, more obvious criticisms. But the females it's like death by 1,000 cuts, isn't it? It's like they're constantly niggling away at them about the looks, and then if they're dating someone and they just go on a date, next minute it's built into this big love affair, and they try to make them out like someone who's seeing all these different men when they've been for coffee with two different guys over 2 months, for example. And I just feel it's very unfair, and their struggles are very, very understated, I feel.
I feel also with actors, with celebrities, they've become spiritual as well, Leslie, and you've noticed that, haven't you?
Yeah. I mean, we've had a lot of retreats which have been mostly celebrities. I think the world at large is much more open to spirituality now, because as you and I know, my parents were always spiritual, so I grew up in a spiritual environment, which I think for those times was quite unusual. But people are very open to it now, and people want to actually have a peace of mind. I think people want to be happier and know they can, and so they're searching for it more. I know everybody I talk to that knows Lee always wants to keep coming to see him, because they're almost searching for something, and they believe, and I think they're right actually in lots of ways, that spirituality gives you this really calmness. And so what you're doing as well, Craig, in your own way is spiritual, isn't it? So if you're helping somebody to actually feel better about themselves and understand themselves, it's an amazing thing to do. I mean, Lee has helped people I know.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel all that I do is I remove the self-criticism and the the self-imposed walls and limitations that we all put upon us, so that they have the confidence to look and investigate their own spirituality and begin their own journey. I feel it's something that we all have to go, we all guide and we can all support somebody's journey, but you have to want to start that journey. You have to really be committed to it. And that's what I believe I do. I sort of get rid of all of sort of burn the weeds, so to speak, so we can start again and look at it with fresh eyes, without that criticism and historical issues that we may have. And I certainly find, even with myself, especially when I work with females, they're quite surprised when they start working with me how spiritual I am or how emotionally in tune I am. I was raised by my mother. She raised 3 boys, and we were very much raised to, not as traditional men, but to very much, we were aware what our mother expected of us. And we were always told to be very sensitive, and we grew up in quite a rough place in Enfield at the time. And that's something I've always kept with me, even when I became like a stereotypical alpha or whatever many people say. I've always laughed at that, because I really am like a soft, scared boy inside, and I'm kind of almost trying to prove these things to myself. And that's something I always put across to people. I mean, you might look at, anybody. You might look at somebody like Mike Tyson before he goes into a boxing ring, but if you listen to him, he was terrified before he went out and he was fighting. And it's not until he gets to the ring that's his arena where he feels comfort. So all I feel that I do is I sort of provide them the confidence to walk to the ring, so to speak. Once they're in there, they're in their arena, and they can build themselves, and they have that confidence, and they know what they're doing. So
honesty is really nice, I think. I think you're so honest about how you feel yourself. It's easier for people to relate to you.
Yeah, thank you. I feel you have to, and that's especially when I wrote my book. When I sent it off, I nearly had a panic attack, because I bared my soul, and I had to. And that's the promise. If I'm honest, everything I'm doing really is a promise that I made to my absent friends. Like that night I told you with Junior, when we had that thing the next day, I swore that everything I was going to do was going to be honest. And don't get me wrong, there's been a number of times I kind of wish I hadn't. But in doing so, I feel if you're asking something of somebody without having done it yourself, people will fade away from that. Where if you're completely open and honest, and you show them that you're human, I've made most of the mistakes most people have made, and I'm going to make mistakes again. But you take the lessons, not the loss. You stay positive, you stay humble, and then you action what your changes must be. And I feel that gives us hope, knowing that you can make a mistake. That's fine. We'll take the day off tomorrow. We'll drink a bottle of wine. We'll start again on Monday, and the world will be a better place. And I think that's what we need to encourage.
Very brave as well. Very brave of you, I think.
I find that I take on a lot of responsibility. Well, because of the mediumship, number one, because you've got to tread in a very fragile way for the people, because if they've just lost, you're taking that responsibility on. And also, when you're doing readings, you've got to be careful about someone's mental health, where a lot of readers don't take these. Because I was taught from a young child the rights and the wrongs of how to conduct yourself. And believe me, I'm wicked. I will be wicked to my clients. I will sit there. I will laugh when I look at their cards, and if I'm doing cards when I think the cards are awful, I will laugh. So I can't hide it. But you have got to be very, very fragile. And even when their loved ones come through from spirit, because sometimes their loved ones will say things to me, and I think, I can't repeat that. I really do. And this happened to me.
There's a book there, Lee.
Well,
I said, there's a book there.
Yeah.
You could write
I really do. And, Craig, talking about a book, I've been asked to write a book, and Leslie to say to me all the time, because I've had, like yourself, in a different way, I've had so much experience in my life. I've traveled the world on my own. My husband has come sometimes. I've even been at this stage. I found myself in a place and don't even know why I'm there. It's like spirits have taken me to a place. I've also gone through, I've had phone calls to say, cancel your appointments. There's a car picking you up. You get into the car. I don't know where I'm going or I'm going to anything. But
amazing.
I know spiritually that spirit is gonna guide me and allow me to, you know, I would feel it. If it was bad,
Yes.
I would feel it. But we do, and you as a coach as well, we do take on a lot of responsibility. People don't realize that we are taking on their responsibility. And I have people come to me, you know, I might have lovely mediumship where somebody just lost someone, and I'm helping them through that. So the next thing, my next client might be where I've got to work on $100 million.
Yes.
And, you know, they come in, they're chucking questions at me, and the responsibility that they go through, but people don't see that. They just think you're the front, but we do take it on with us.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's so interesting that you say that. When I first started coaching, I made what I'd call a rookie mistake, but it was a great learning curve where I made all of the problems my problems. Instead of teaching the solutions and essentially helping them, as I say, what I do now is helping them get out of their way and then advising them to help them make the decisions so they can dream, believe, plan, achieve. I was taking on all of those hardships and things, and it was really sort of getting into me because I was so in tune with my emotions and the grief or whatever it may be. It was triggering myself rather than thinking, right, what did I do to solve that, or how did I get through that? And passing those, I was almost sitting with them in their pain at first. And I always say that I was like John Coffey from The Green Mile. You know, I'm not sure if you've seen the film when
I love it.
Breathed in all of the negativity, and it gets to you in the end. And the responsibility I've felt is immense. But as you say, it's a double-edged sword, where if you can be gentle enough to listen and digest and be present and offer your advice and support, and that's all that people need. But you need to make sure that you're looking at the individual. As you say, if you go from, I've had exactly the same situation with yourself, where I look after and coach Middle Eastern family from Saudi Arabia who have more money and power than you could imagine. And next minute, I'll be speaking to one of my former Royal Marine friends who's just gone through a divorce. Yeah. And the spectrum of emotion that's involved there is so vast. For me to try and navigate both things, I wouldn't be helping anyone. So I find that just by sort of saying central and offering those core lessons and core belief on, again, walking them to that ring and helping them get to the place where they need to be for them to be their best selves is what's proved most beneficial for me and my clients, for sure.
I won't take, you do take on the responsibility, but when I walk out to my office, I cleanse myself down. I say, yes, I can't take this on. And somebody asked me many times, people ask me this, they say, don't you get drained by the end of the day? Because on my journey I've just been on, I've seen 12 clients per day. It might have been 14 some days. Yeah, literally back to back. And people said to me, don't you get exhausted, Lee? But when they've gone out to the door, I've completely forgot it. I let it go. Unless I'm working with, like, when you're working with corporate companies, you can't forget, because they can be ringing you at any time and you've got to go through. That's true. But when I do a reading or a healing session, I can't. I've got to cleanse all my energy and just let it go. Talking about healing, do you do any form of healing sessions in your retreats?
No, we've not specifically. No, I find some of the meditations and breathing exercise can have that sort of that support, but not typically. We're kind of the step after the healing aspect, so to speak. At the moment, we've brought people on before who have been healers and have taken through different programs, depending on what we've done. When we were in Colombia, we had healers as part of some of the like guided meditations and things we've done. But it's certainly something that I've been looking at. I kind of feel where what we do, it's kind of, if we were going to do a whole healing retreat, I feel that would be better. But I'd be very open to doing a full healing retreat rather than what we do. I feel it'd be too much and complicate the whole process of what we're achieving at the moment. But the healing retreats is something I've really been looking at. I've actually been asked to put one together in Barcelona, and just a 4 to 5 day sort of healing retreat, very much in nature, no technology, not so much exercise based, but lots of walks and talks and meditations and things like that. So not as yet, but it's certainly something I'm interested in. It's certainly something that I study and I focus on for me personally.
Lee, you do a lot of that. You do a lot of the walking with people, meditation.
And something that Craig just said, when they did that, we got a Ballindon have got a teepee, which I love being in. You can do so much. You can do so much in the teepee, and straight away I say, put your phones, turn your phones off.
Yes,
because they can't be distracted.
Yes. And just knowing that your phone is off, it almost makes you a different person, right? It's almost like you're cutting a limb off these days. It's amazing.
I do all different healing aspects. So I do the mediumship, teach them how to open up, how to protect themselves, how to cleanse their auras, how to cleanse, everything off them. I think, Craig, I would, and I think Leslie would, I'd love you to come and see whether you could do a retreat in Ballindon.
Oh, I would love
one of your retreats, because there's bedrooms there. Leslie throws the most beautiful dinner party at the end of the retreat. Each of the retreats. You've got the grounds there. We are doing a lot there, but there's so much potential at Ballindon. In the next year, Ballindon's going to be sparks coming out, because we're going to grow that big. But I think you should come and have a look at doing something there for the people that want to stay in England, doing your work at Ballindon. Come and have a look at Ballindon.
I would love to. That'd be wonderful. I'd be open to teaming up as well and seeing what we can do together and putting some things together. That would sound fantastic. I think we could really help a lot of people.
I think as well. And you got at the ball, I met your business partner, or was he your partner that worked with you?
Richard?
Yeah.
Yeah, Richard and I served in the Royal Marines together. We've worked together in security. He's supported in some of the Virtuous Savage stuff, but he's more just a bit of my friend and cheerleader at this stage.
Right. Well, we'll organise for you to come down one weekend if you're available, because Leslie's always working in London like the rest of us. Organise you to come down and stay overnight and see Ballindon and see what we can do there with you.
That would be wonderful. Yeah, just send me some dates and let's get it done. It sounds fantastic.
So, it's funny, you come from a boy that was a bit of a trouble, got in bits of trouble, to a Marine, to somebody who's worked with the most famous people in the world. And it's funny how our life goes up and down. Then you've gone through your own mental health issues. You've come out to that and you're helping people to build their life, which really, we're just ambassadors to help people to get on in the life, to give a step up, because the three of us do mentoring in one way or another, because Leslie is a fantastic mentor as well. Craig, now, when is the book? Did you say the book is out?
Yep, the book is out. It's available on Amazon.
Yeah.
And it's called The Discombobulated Alpha.
Discombobulated Alpha.
That's right. The discombobulated is actually my favorite word in the English language. So I wanted that word in the title of my book. But I've received amazing reviews so far and feedback from for me, the biggest thing was to get feedback from a different spectrum of people, not just military or whatever it may be. And I get emails all the time about about the honesty, about the empowerment, how it's brought people to almost be able to have those sort of conversations as well. So it's very entertaining. I've actually just started on, a very, very early conversations, but to turn it into a TV show. Again, my real mission. I used to be, as a young man, I came from nothing. I was all about money and power and getting the most beautiful woman I could find. And after sort of hitting rock bottom, I really am on a mission now to help as many people as possible. I think the book speaks for that, and everything we do at Virtuous Savage speaks for that as well, guys. So I can't wait to come and meet you guys in person again and actually see how we can team up and actually spread the good word and build some confidence and make the world a bit of a better place.
Craig, if people need to contact you about your coaching, because I want them to understand, you do your book, you do your retreats, and you do your coaching. And so if they want to come to you for your coaching, how do they contact you there?
So you can contact me through the website, which is virtuoussavage.com, or you can reach out on social medias. My personal social media is Craig Ainsworth 83, or simply at Virtuous Savage. And my email address as well is craig@virtuoussavage.com. Those emails go directly to me. I speak directly with everyone that comes through Virtuous Savage. You're not speaking to a PA or anything like that. So you can reach out to me. Everything we speak about is completely protected and doesn't go anywhere else. And I'm here as and when anyone's ready to get out of their own way and become their best version of themselves.
Well, Craig, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's been a pleasure, and we will see each other down in Ballindon, and we will have dinner together. Craig, thank you, my friend. Take care.
I cannot wait. Thank you so much for having me, guys.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, my friend. Bye.
Bye.
So that's amazing, Leslie.
That was incredible. It's very, very it's exhilarating talking to him, isn't it?
I found that when he has, and when I first met him at the ball, him and his good friend come up and introduced themselves to me, and they were so funny together, and it was a really good time with them. And I just think with Craig, with his work, the work he do, I think it would suit Ballindon, and it would suit the wellness about Ballindon as well. With everybody bringing something into Ballindon, it will make it more
incredible. And I'd love to do something with some of our veterans with him, because I think they would really benefit from him as well.
I think they would. Actually, you could you could pull something together with the veterans, and I think Craig would love to do that.
He's an inspiration, isn't he?
See, with my husband, Leslie, as you know him very well, he also does a lot of things for charity. He does Ski Bob Great Britain, where he used to take amputees skiing, teaching them how to ski. Yeah. So
it's a lovely thing to do. There are so many lovely things that we could do for them, really, to help them. And because I find all the boys that we've got, and a few girls as well, actually, but mostly boys, they join the army or the navy or the paras because they're like action men. So they love doing all these things. They like the thrill. And then when they become badly injured, they can't do it anymore, but they're still the same person inside.
Yeah.
So that's what we try to help them with, try to help them with the sports and the things that they want to do after, as well as the PST.
Because Tin used to also do the skiing bikes with them.
Yeah, that would be wonderful, though, wouldn't it? Something like that is wonderful.
He's still in the charity, but now Tin he doesn't really go skiing anymore. He said it's time to hang up his hat. He didn't want to do that anymore. But he's still a part of the charity. Well, Leslie, I think we've come to the end of another wonderful show together, my darling.
Lovely speaking to you. Wonderful speaking to Craig. And
we will talk again soon. And everyone, thank you so much for listening in to us. And myself and Leslie will be back within the next week. So take care and thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you to you all for listening. Please message Lee on Instagram at Lee_Ybird. That's Lee_Ybird. LEE_WHYBERD. And that's if you have any suggestions for topics to discuss or you would like to inquire about a reading. Thanks again for tuning in. And until next time, stay curious and stay spiritual.